Hello and welcome to My Mom's Basement, presented by Barstool Sports and 3Chi, and another Andor recap edition of My Mom's Basement for Andor Episode 6. It is Robbie Fox, and of course, the star of Andor himself, Clem, joining me. What was the title of this episode? Did you get it down? I didn't write it down.
I did not get it down. That's a good question because I have the title. We're doing She-Hulk for everyone watching the She-Hulk recaps. That'll be on YouTube.
Was it just like The Eye or something?
Let's see here because the She-Hulk episode was the perfect name for it, and it was The Eye. Very good.
Oh,
9.3 on IMDb. I don't know if how we feel about IMDb ratings compared to like Rotten Tomatoes and stuff like that, but I always feel like it's in, right around there.
Clem, I feel like that 9.3 needs to be higher because this episode of Andor was fucking awesome start to finish. This was, what if you take the final half an hour, 20 minutes of Ocean's 11, you put it into Star Wars, we're doing a heist for the entire episode, and then you combine it with like some of the coolest visuals we've seen in the new Star Wars era with the actual meteor shower, the eye, and everything. We talked a little bit about the episode before we started recording and said it's going to be a weird one to recap because generally we have this happening and then we could talk about it, and then this happens and then we could talk about it. This episode, just one thing happens, really. It's just the heist that we've been building up for the last two episodes, and they nailed it. I loved this. This was one of my favorite pieces of Star Wars content Disney has put out. I'm not afraid to say that.
So, it was funny. You and Jeff tweeted like the same tweet, like a minute within each other with the same GIF. It like broke my brain.
That was a glitch in the Matrix.
And how about our boy Portnoy during the live stream goes, hey, what do you think about Andor? I'm like, it's good, right? He's like, yeah, I love it. I was like, oh shit.
He texted me, said he's all in on Andor.
I love that the boss man's in on this too. Again, it's a little bit of Thrones, which he's obviously been a fan of, and obviously mixed with Star Wars. And it's funny because I don't feel like I am completely in the Star Wars universe, which is good because it means we're changing it a little bit, right? It's not always the same old beats and the same old things. And this episode, again, we'll try to recap it. I do have some like just kind of notes that I think will be good talking points. First of all, egg on our face, no rats. Not a rat to be seen. I feel this is why I didn't bring out the sus list, because I would have felt really bad if I threw my boy Nemec on the sus list.
You definitely would have thrown Nemec or the guy who got shot later in the episode on the sus list.
Yeah, you know what? As I think
forget his name, but he's running through. That's another thing with this show, almost Thrones-esque. I'm not great with names.
I'll just admit he was the black guy. That's what I called him, the black guy. He was the leader, though. We could say leader or second leader. The girl was
former
the leader.
Stormtrooper as well, right?
Former Stormtrooper.
They revealed that in this episode, and that was another thing that made me think, like, do we have a rat on our hands? Like, former Stormtrooper, we didn't know that. They're keeping secrets from him.
Cousin was on the sus list too, just because he is.
Cousin was big time on the sus list, and then obviously, like, for good reason. Cousin the whole time. His name was like Skeeter, Skeen, something. Never really learned his name. It begun with like SKE. He was Cousin. Yeah, he might be Cousin on every show he's in. If you've watched The Bear, and if you haven't watched The Bear, go watch The Bear, because The Bear is one of the best shows of the year.
It'll get your claws into you by the end of the first episode. I think like that, and it's like a half hour. It's not a lot. It's probably 20 minutes without commercials.
Easy watch. It's on Hulu. Yeah.
You get the 7-day trial. That's what I did. Flat out admit it. 7-day trial. Got it. Watched The Bear within 7 days. Canceled the trial. And now I have it in my head. I guess I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do for season 2, which got picked up. So you're getting in, and you're getting another season out of it. So it's a win all around.
I need an Eddie cameo in The Bear season 2. Just like a subtle thing. He can go in. He could be in the background just ordering himself a beef or something. Or maybe he's like, he vandalizes the store, puts gum in the locks clerk style because Graziano's his boy.
Yeah, that's a good. And people forget Eddie was like a little bit of a bad boy growing up too. Did you know that about Eddie?
He had the earring, right?
Yeah, he had the earring. He was a little
bad boy.
I don't want to say the P word, but I'm going to say I think he was a little bit of a punk as a kid. You know,
I thought you were going to say he was a bit of a pussy. I was like, wait a minute,
what? No, I was a pussy as a kid. Eddie was a punk as a kid, I think.
I was definitely the kid in the background of fights, like, come on, guys, knock it off.
And shout out to Bob Fox in the basement. He was on the dog walk basement draft. He crushed it as we thought he would. So
crushed it, but I saw the poll. It's not looking good for me. I think Eddie took that one, which is tough. But you know what? You got to get that first loss out of the way someday.
Keep your chin up. I lost a snack draft to Chief, who I don't think has eaten like 5 snacks in his life, but
he went triple nut. Yeah. He's the triple nut guy himself, who went for Breeze in this draft. Listen, if you haven't watched the basement draft, we're making a lot of references that don't make sense to you right now, but go watch the basement draft. We'll get back to Andor now. I know when people get upset when we go on our little tangents. Let's talk about the episode. It begins with Nemec talking to Clem, getting a little anxious. He can't sleep the night before. And he's like, trust me, you're not going to be sleeping when we start this mission. You're going to be anxious. You're going to be feeling it. You're going to be like you just smelled some smelling salts or whatever they do on the benches in hockey.
Clem should have told him to rub one out. Just rub one out, dude. You'll be sleeping like a baby in no time. Yeah, exactly.
He does talk him down, though. He's like, you're going to be okay. And then we see this little Imperial discussion about the Dannies, or the Donais, however you say it. It's the name of George Harrison's son, Donai. They're taking over and basically offering the Donais so many options that they don't even realize what they initially wanted isn't even on the table. That's kind of what they were saying. They're like, do you think they're going to let us just come in here and build after the eye? Blah, 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 blah. We're building up to the meteor shower, and the Imperials are escorting the Donnies like through to the Sacred Valley. Part of the Imperial escort team are the spies. And you get that sense of tension right away that really lasts throughout the entire episode. Like every single scene, you're holding your breath like, oh my God, is this the scene where they're going to get caught? The way they built that up, I forget the director's name, but she did a really, really good job on this one.
The tension was there. You felt it right off the bat. And I'm just going to admit it. I see myself as a Donnie. Like that was the most identifiable character. They're like when someone like if like a contract, they'll just throw just different numbers at me, and I'm like, what? And I'm like, okay. Like you go to the dude. Dropping for like a couch at Bob's was like the most stressful thing in my life. You know what I mean? Yeah. And they're just throwing numbers and they're talking about the production policies. And if I want to break down the numbers, and then for a fucking car, I got a fucking 6 year. I bought my minivan. They threw 6 years at my ass, and I was like, sure, I just signed it. There was way too much shit. I am a Donnie. And then they're saying like we throw. You know, halfway up, they like put like a bar with cheap drinks, and that kind of like, you know,
it was like a shelter on their journey or whatever.
Yeah, it like weeds out a good chunk of people, right? I would be in that bar, I'd be blackout drunk, I'd miss the eye the whole entire, and then I'd just like stumble back home. So I realized the Donnies were basically that's the closest, most identifiable group I've had in the Star Wars universe so far.
And also, they said they went from like 500 to 60. Crazy numbers. Like, holy shit, did their plan work? The Imperials know what they're doing. I see how they're taking over the galaxy here.
Yeah, this is the first time the Imperials actually seem smart to me. Like,
yeah,
first time since Order 66. Give fucking tip of the cap to the Emperor, who I almost said the P word, the other P word. I would have gotten roasted yet again for a shout out to the Emperor. That's the one thing, like, I hate it, but you got to give the guy fucking credit for coming up with this in order, like the fucking Order 66.
Of course. And we see this new Imperial Sergeant. I don't know if that's his actual rank sergeant, but that's kind of what I'm going to call him this episode. He was the one that we saw getting a little fat, or as his wife said, expanding. Maybe you're expanding a bit, my dear.
That was tough. As he's putting the belt on, I'm like, oh no, please don't tell me the wife's going to say it. Please don't tell me the wife's going to say it. And she just fucking threw it right in his face. Oh, that hurt. As a big guy, it hurt a lot.
He has to present the Donnies with a gift on the night of the eye, this kind of like ceremony night for them. And the husband or the wife and the kid don't really want to go. The kid's kind of playing sick. They're like, Jesus Christ, we got to do this. He's like, listen, we're going to get off this shitty planet. Just come here with me tonight. We're going to present them with the gift, blah, 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 blah. We see Andor and company marching through as the false escort. Vel and Cinna swim through. Kind of Phantom Menace vibes when they're swimming underwater like that.
I said Metal Gear Solid vibes when they were sneaking around. Does Bob Fox know his Metal Gear Solid?
See, I know it from afar. I used to go over to my friend Chris's house and watch him play and his older brother play Metal Gear Solid. I was always an Xbox kid.
That's right.
I had a PS2, I had a PS1. Kind of missed out on those. I was more into like Splinter Cell. Tom Clancy, which you kind of get vibes of in this.
Yeah, I have an idea of that too. It's just again, I always get worried about the old thing, but as long as you're young enough, I'm sure you have a bunch of people my age.
Cool,
the little exclamation point. Like I was waiting for that to appear next to Vel's head at some point. Even when they were sneaking around, they were going like right behind the thing where no one from the Imperials could see them. They could kind of see their line of sight. So I thought that was just very cool.
I love the shot of when they actually make it to the dam or whatever, and they plant what I thought were going to be like explosive charges, but I think they were really just radio jammers. When they plant the charges and then start running away, and you see the shot of like the Imperial like sipping his coffee in the office or something, and then just blurry out of focus in the background, you see Vel like sprinting. That's out of a video game right there.
Yes, and it does ground this whole universe. Again, the Imperials having families, a wife and a son who are like, oh, we got to do this. And they're just selling out their morals to like move up to the next planet and get a better job. And I feel like you're probably a pretty shitty person if you're Imperial. I don't think that's too much of a like if you're a sergeant in the Imperial, like you're probably kind of a dick.
You got to realize what they're doing at this point.
Yeah, it's not just the guys with the little lights, the little blue and red lights on their thing, like the officers, and then like the stormtroopers. You're seeing the whole entire breadth of their lives. So I thought I just loved it.
Speaking of blue and red lights, little tangent for the podcast, little one, just tiny one. I see a cop car behind me on the highway the other day. I'm going to the Kevin Smith event, which we could also talk about after Andor. Talk about Kevin Smith a little bit. I see a cop car and I go, oh, like I make a joke to my girlfriend, like, oh, I better drive careful. Cop car right behind me. Looked like a big cop truck, lights on the top and everything. Not lights on, but it had the lights.
Mm-hmm.
Pulls up alongside me to go around me. I realize it's not a cop car. It's a fucking decked out shield car. Like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
What?
The license plate said Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. On the side, it has a decal that says S.H.I.E.L.D. Logistics Division. And it has lights on the top. I tweeted a video of it and everything. Like, I fucking just drove past an Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. on the highway. I don't know if that's legal, putting lights on the top of your car and everything. But it made me feel like I was in Earth 616 for a second.
That would have fucked me up. I've been like, I'm pretty sleep deprived ever since the Mets series a few days ago.
Ever since like 7 years ago.
Yeah, but I always say, I go, Sienna, I lost my mind in November 11th, 2014, and then it got snapped in half and destroyed on April 6th, 2018. But so yeah, that's to where it starts. But then the final straw was this weekend. I don't even know how I would have handled seeing a fucking full out decked out car and it says Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. license plate, man.
Crazy. And it was the weekend of New York Comic-Con, so I thought like it was a New York license plate. I thought like, is this like a display vehicle that is going to go park outside Comic-Con and they hand out pamphlets or something like that? Also, I did a Comic-Con Man on the Street video, so check that out. I tried to give it like an old school Barstool vibe. I think I kind of achieved it. Shout out to Jake Bass for doing the edit as well.
We need to get more Man on the Street stuff back. I'm only saying that because I'm so bad at Man on the Street. There's no way I could ever do it again. But so that's basically asking someone else to do Man on the Street. But I love Man on the Street videos. That's some of the best shit we've ever done, to be honest with you. And Robbie, you absolutely crushed it. If you saw a TIE fighter flying, that's when you know your brain is officially gone. If you see TIE fighters flying over the Hudson River, that means we're fucked.
We see that big Imperial guy meet with the Donnie leader, and he presents them with this gift. It's like this furry saddle-looking thing. And he tells the lieutenant, why don't you do the talking? And the lieutenant rightfully like makes some choice translations where they're like, tell the Imperial he's a fucking fat scum. And he's like, he says we're here on a great night to celebrate the eye or whatever. And as soon as the Imperials walk away, the Donnies burn the gift. They're making a big bonfire. They're like, fucking throw it in there. We're getting that Imperial scum off of us.
Did you think that the Donnies might rise up? Even though there's only
totally
like 60 of them.
And I still think they may. I still think we might like wrap back around to them at the end of the season and they're like wrapped into the rebellion or something.
Oh, okay. I could see that because I'm on Rat Watch at this point. I'm putting you guys into my head as I'm like, who's the rat? Who's the rat? The black guy. He looked at the way he looked at the lieutenant. I'm like, oh wait, that was a look right there. So I'm sus listing everyone, and then I'm like, oh well, if there's no rat, maybe it's that like the rise up happens with the Donnies, which then rings the alarms and really fucks up their entire plan. So at this point, I'm trying to figure out how the plan is going to get fucked up. So as long as I know I'm not the only one. Also, I don't think it's the case. If I look back at it, I kept getting like Heisenberg with hair vibes from the Donnie leader. He kind of looked like a Bryan Cranston. Okay. I don't know what it was. I imagine if I go back and looked at it now, but I kept thinking, I'm like, why the fuck is Bryan Cranston an extra in the Star Wars universe?
I could see that though. Some Star Wars guys, people are like, I just want to be an extra. Look at Christian Bale. He just came out and said he wants to play the stormtrooper who hits his head in episode 4. He's like, that's the one character I would love to play. Kevin Smith said during his event, he was like, if I'm Disney, I'm calling his fucking bluff. And I'm like, good, you got a full series. Like, we're doing it.
And what will they name it? They'll name it Character Who Hits His Head on the Ceiling in episode 4. Trooper.
I did write down the sergeant's name. J-Hold. That was his name.
A-Hole. A-Hole. We'll call him A-Hole for now.
Yeah, basically A-Hole.
I was going to call him Fuckface, but I've called like 18 people Fuckface in the basement the last like year.
Yeah.
So true. A-Hole was perfect.
And we have a fuck face in this show. C-Real is our fuck face.
That's true. Do you think? And I fucking hate C-Real. Do you think like they were going to name him A-hole and they just did their like one letter over on the keyboard and these guys are not very creative with their names right now, and I am offended
right. So they escort him, like our spies escort him inside after he meets with the leader, and then once they get inside, they pull their blasters on him, and we realize this is a robbery. This is a mission that they are the rats on to the Imperials. J-Hole says you'll never make it out alive. I don't know. I don't even know the vault code. Like you're gonna need a separate transmission to get into that. And they're like, we'll fucking take our chances. All right, buddy, let's keep going. They pull the whole they commandeer a whole room with officers that were playing cards, the basement room, they kind of like outside the vault room. And then they get into the vault, they blow the ammo charges, so they don't even need his second little hand thing or whatever. And unfortunately, they were overheard on radio. This is how they were communicating on like the Imperial feed or whatever. They hear it a little bit, and the guy is shocked to see the lieutenant, J-Hole. He's like, you'll hang for this. And he's like, I served you for 7 years. I deserve a lot worse.
What a fucking line that was. I was like, yeah! I like cheered as he said that. Listen, I don't know about, I mean, Robbie, you've had jobs probably in like high school and stuff like that, but there is something that's a little more devastating about it when you have a really shitty manager in the real world in corporate America, and you're kind of like, I need the benefits, I'm out of college and you know whatever, and just like that dude has been dreaming. He like was probably like baiting him to saying like, Sam, I'm gonna hang because I want to fucking hit you with this burn. That felt so good. That was a win for everybody who's been looking up at their manager. I had a manager at ESPN. I won't use the government name. I'll just call him SVD. He was such a shitty manager. I quit the job without another job.
Not SVP. SVD.
No, SVD. Yeah, okay. It was funny because he worked at ESPN at the same time SVP was obviously there, and he had him call himself SVD. The worst manager. The entire fucking department hated his guts, and I just fucking quit. And then I think he left the company, and then my boy got hired in his old role, and I came back to ESPN. And that's like, that was, it was a little comeback for your pal Clem here. So shout out to him just fucking like saying getting hanged. I think it's hanged. You have to say it the right way. Yeah. Getting hanged is better than 7 years of serving you. Absolute burn. And also, did you get the same vibes when they're talking about the vault? And he's like, I don't know the codes. There was a wise man, Bob. He says, I don't know what I'm telling you. Get on a jet to Tokyo and ask the chairman. I'm telling you, you're just going to have to kill me. Okay. And then Hans Gruber put a goddamn hole. R.I.P. in peace, my guy, Joseph Takagi. But I got the same kind of vibes there. I got a couple. I got Die Hard with the vault. Yeah. And then when they had the stuff in the vault of all the gold, I got Die Hard 3 vibes when they're in the, New York Treasury or whatever the hell it's called. I don't know if that's part of the reason I love this episode so much, because Die Hard is my favorite movie, and the trilogy is one of my favorite like just things in life. Oh, it was absolutely incredible, and they didn't go with the typical someone's a rat. I appreciated that as well. And you knew when they said this is the airbase link, you're like, yep, someone's gonna find out about that airbase link. It was Chekhov's airbase link. Our guy Nemec. Then I thought Nemec was the rat because it was his radio that got
I would have been so devastated too. If Nemec was the rat.
Did you think he was the rat when that happened? Yeah. Like he allowed it. Me too.
I was getting very, and he was also, he had some line where he's like, oh, like I'll be here. Like you guys go off without, or something like that. Where I was like, Nemec, no. But no, poor Nemec. He wasn't a rat. He was very much down with the cause. And also, speaking of Die Hard, saw a video recently. You know the iconic part in Die Hard where guy comes up on the elevator, dead, ho, ho, ho. Yeah. Now I have a machine gun. Hans Gruber goes to like grab his face and kind of like shake it, this dead guy's face. Have you seen this?
Yeah.
He flinches. Yeah. He does a little blinks. Eyes closed and he blinks. Yeah. I had never seen that before. That's crazy.
It breaks my heart. I don't, it's still a perfect movie, but it didn't throw a perfect game. I don't know if that even makes sense, but it just is a little continuity. There's a couple things in Die Hard, a couple little fun facts there that, like, I think they say the wrong name at one point. They say like the guy's actual name instead of his character name. It might be in one.
Probably talked about it in our commentary. It's been years since the commentary, so I forgot. But go back and listen to that commentary around the holidays. It's a good
one. Carl's dead brother with the small feet.
So they're caught. They get caught over the intercom, and as someone comes down, they're like, "Sir, like what's going on?" And J-Hole's not answering, and then he has a heart attack. He's like, and he just goes down. And it's like, this is bad. Shootout ensues. The stormtrooper gets shot, the former stormtrooper, as he's running. So it's like there are big stakes. Like we are killing off characters. People are dying. TIE fighters take off as the ship takes off. And Nemec, like, gets caught between two canisters of ammo. They fucking paralyzed this guy. I thought he was gonna die in this scene. Like I was like, what a like dramatic, real way to kill someone off. But it kind of just rolls into him. I think he's basically paralyzed. They give him a med spike, not to be confused with med nog. Also in this series, there's a lot of meds, different meds.
How good must that med spike feel? It felt like he was fucking feeling himself.
That's Pulp Fiction shit.
I was gonna say it was the shot of adrenaline to Mrs. Mia Wallace's heart kind of a thing. And he was like, I got my colonoscopy. I got the drug that killed Michael Jackson. I don't remember the name of it. Do you know the name of it?
Fentanyl? I don't know.
No. It's like it like puts you out. Drug that killed Michael Jackson. Large talked about it. It's like the greatest drug in the world. Like you just feel so propofol. Okay. I don't know if that's a known thing. That's what he must have been feeling like, man. Our guy Nemec was when he was going out feeling fucking good.
Yeah, big time. But he has to kind of guide Cassian through this meteor shower storm, whatever you want to call it, while TIE fighters are on their tail. The way this was shot, with the visual effects and everything, was so gorgeous, so cool. Seeing the ship go up through the meteors, seeing it dive when it has to, seeing the TIE fighters like kind of burn up, the glass start to shatter, and then they explode. The wreckage kills another one. Like we talked about on the show, TIE fighters kind of just made of like balsa wood, like the cheapest shit possible. And they explode and go into a trillion pieces when they do. It looks amazing every time. Nemec does successfully lead the ship out. And once they get him to this doctor who kind of has a Maz Kanata look, it looks like if you mixed Maz with the fucking old guy who fixes Woody in Toy Story 2.
Oh, yes, incredible. I don't remember the Big Al's Toy Barn, that one? Or the old guy
who shines him up.
In. Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good call.
I would say mixed with Goro from Mortal Kombat because he had 4 arms. He
that is a
mashup
and a half right there.
Yeah.
I thought it was Maz the whole time when I just saw the face, and I'm like, is that fucking I couldn't even remember her name because obviously the prequels don't mix well. I'm like, is that her? Is she or sequels? I'm like, is that her? Is that? And turns out it's some crazy that Bob just put in my head. Maz. This is what you get in the basement. Maz, the guy who fixes Woody in Toy Story 2, and Goro. Tip of the cap, sir.
Which is pretty accurate, you gotta admit.
Fucking accurate.
So he starts fixing up Nemec, and then outside, the cousin sits down next to our guy Clem. And he's like, hey, in that ship right there, 80 million credits. How about you say 40 million apiece? You and me, we split town. The guy's like, what about the rebellion, dude? That's what our guy Andor's saying. And he's like, listen, I'm with the rebellion, but I'm also out for myself. So I don't know. What do you think? Before he could even finish his fucking sentence, he also says the story about his brother was false, which, holy shit, dude. You're an evil guy if you're making up stories about that. Our guy Andor fucking shoots first. Takes a page out of Han Solo's playbook in 1977, not the special edition, the 1977, and he shoots first, yet again in this series. One of the most badass scenes we've seen out of Cassian Andor in Rogue One, in his own show. This was awesome.
I got our fucking hashtag, Bob. The hashtag Andor for the episode. First. You guys listen to the podcast. You just tweet this at me and Bob just to let us know you made it to this point. Hashtag Clem shot first. Don't give me Andor shot first. Clem shot first. Just such
Did you do a fist pump when you saw that? Like, our guy, he's not even listening to this bullshit. He's just shooting him. No, I'm shooting you and walking away.
And that's not even a dude who's like diehard rebellion, doesn't have rebel fucking posters in his locker room, doesn't have the tattoo of the rebellion on him. He's just a dude that came along for the ride and he said, fuck this shit. I'm not splitting this $80 million with you. I loved, man. And again, I think we said before the series started, what are you hoping for? I was hoping for I would care more about Andor when the time the series is over. Part 1, check mark. Big check mark after that. I love that.
They were like, quick, rename him Clem in the next 3 episodes.
we'll have the biggest critic, the first person that spoke out about The Last Jedi, who works for Barstool Sports. We'll get him on our side. You guys have me. I guess I was sold once he was named Clem, but once he did this, and like you said, and it had the Han Solo vibes, and we said this when he killed the guy in the first episode, just point blank range. It's like, yeah, give me some fucking like little dirties, little dirt under the fingernail Star Wars. Everything that was the coolest thing about Han Solo. And we really didn't see it any other time other than whenever Han Solo pulled some shit. It was incredible. And also reminded me of we'll do a little more pop culture here. Do you know about the old Johnny Bananas where he had a partner? Him and his partner made it to the end of the challenge. So it's MTV The Challenge, and he makes it all the way to the end, and he has $1 million, and it was rivals. So it was someone that you had. Actually, I think it's when it wasn't even rivals. And he either can take all the money for himself, the $1 million prize, or split it with his partner. And he chose to take the $1 million for himself over his partner, Sarah, who had like voted him off on a previous season once, but took the money. And you just see her go, oh my God. And you just see this person just lose $1 million in real time. It was an all-time reality TV moment out there done years ago. And it was the same kind of thing where she's basically like, we'll keep the money, and we'll just leave these fucking guys behind who they don't have the money for their fucking rebellion to fight these evil goddamn people out here. Shout out to us for sniffing out Cousin from day one. It's also because we watched the critically acclaimed The Bear on Hulu, which you guys should all be watching by now. So I feel like we have to do like a Bear recap next fucking season.
I know, yeah, really. We should, because it's such a good show.
And the eye was awesome. That was another thing we talked about going into this heist. We're saying whenever they show the eye, I hope they did a good job. I was very satisfied with, and flying through, I was like, shit, I didn't even see that coming.
And even the colors of it, like it almost looked like Star Wars fireworks in a way, right? It was like green, and it did not just a regular meteor shower, very cool. And then Andor goes in there and kind of like they talk about what kind of just happened. Like, where's fucking so and so? He's dead. He's out there. His dead body's out there if you want to bury him. And Vel gives him Nemec's manifesto. She's like, Nemec like wanted you to have this, so take this with you. He's like, I don't want it. She's like, no, he wanted you to have it, so you have to take this. He takes the manifesto. He gets out of there. We see the Senate room. We haven't seen the Senate room with the little floaty things, whatever, since Revenge of the Sith, I think. No. So we actually get to see it, except Bad Batch, we got it. Live action, I'm talking. Actually got to see it. She starts giving a Senate meeting, and then people start chattering, looking at their tablets, getting out of there. A big rebel attack has happened. Of course, we know about that. We just watched the episode about it. And Luthen hears about it to end the episode. He walks to the back, and he just has this amazing reaction where he's just like laughing, like, holy shit, it fucking worked. We did it. Like, those guys that I thought maybe I was going to get killed, they made it out of it. Except for that, there were some casualties on the way. But the mission itself worked.
RIP my dog Nemec. We'll just say that first and foremost. We have to RIP our dog for making it through. I also was laughing the entire time as it's like his manifesto, which I think could have some like might be the thing that really turns Andor, like really galvanizes him towards the cause here. I was also thinking like, oh, he's giving him his joke book because we talked about that.
Andor's like, knock. What does that mean?
Another fucking doctor joke right now? Really? Are we really doing this? But it was cool seeing the Senate, and you could even before the people were kind of like scurrying away, you could tell that like the Senate is like just a puppet at this point. Like the Imperials rule this shit. It was really kind of cool to see how much things have changed since the First Galactic Empire was born. Our girl Mon, I'm guessing it's gonna probably shift towards her now, probably. In the meantime, as Andor is going to his next setting,
at least right? More of her, yeah. I saw maybe it was Tony Gilroy, the writer. Someone said at the end of season 1, we're going to see all of our storylines start to come together in Andor. So our Dedra, our Cyril, our Andor, our Luthen, our Mon Mothma, everything's going to start to come together at the end of season 1, beginning of season 2.
Okay, that makes sense then. I suppose. I don't like going to the same places over and over, but if you're just going to do a quick check-in, boom, boom, boom.
Oh yeah,
it was cool seeing the Senate. It's an important part,
and it totally made sense. Like that, we're going to see Mon Mothma have to do her politics to, one, try to keep the Imperials out of wherever the rebels are staying or rebels are getting up, and 2, her husband. He's another whole fucking guy where he's going to start to be like, hey, are you funding the rebellion? And she's going to be like, no.
I loved and that fucking MacGruber. It was kind of like you know what I compared it to? What's the Luthen, when Luthen finds out and they're mentioning the planet. It's like when people would talk about like Barstool, but they weren't talking to us about it. Like, did you see that guy the Super Bowl who got carried out? It's
Yeah.
yes, we're fucking making it, baby. The rebellion's growing. Barstool is growing right now. So that was the same kind of reaction. I was just so happy for him too, because even when he was, you could tell he's like, oh, I don't know about the new guy, Andor. I don't really like. Don't know if that was a good move. And also, shout out to Andor for taking off the fucking necklace and being like, yo, if it was about the money, I'm not giving you this $30,000,000. That's the other thing. With credits, I have no idea. I'm like, I'm happy they said 80 million. I'm like, all right, that feels like a lot. They're throwing the M word around.
Especially if like the Rebels have nothing at this point. Like, that's a good start. 80 mil, put that in the fund. Yeah. Amazing episode. Again, Andor, more people should be watching and talking about this. I feel bad saying it. I didn't even watch this episode. I didn't do the 3 a.m. this week. I didn't watch it till like the afternoon, really, almost into the evening, because I kind of know it's not going to get spoiled for me because nobody's talking about it on Twitter, which is unfortunate. It's like, on one hand, nice, it's not going to get spoiled for me. On the other hand, more people should be talking about this.
Yeah, it's kind of what sucks about you're seeing the difference with Thrones in this, where it's like you have to watch Thrones at 9 p.m. on Sun. I somehow avoided it after the Mets game and to that next Monday, but I stayed off social media for the most part. With this, yeah, it's to the point where I don't even do it, and I have had She-Hulk stuff spoiled for me, and it's just because if you just see the hashtag, the wrong thing could be trending if a character shows up or something like that. Where this, it's like, yeah, it's, but I mean, again. Casual fan, diehard fan, Portnoy, whatever he is considered with all this. All of us like it so far, so I think
Jeff loves it. Ken Jack loves it.
Now, I will say this. I'll give it to the end of the season. I still think Mando is light years better in terms of entertainment value.
Agreed. And Grogu adds a lot to that and everything. True. Like, Mando just looking as cool as he does. It's also a lot slower moving than Mando in terms of like Mando, even though it does that serial thing, which it sometimes gets criticized for, has kind of a beginning and end every week. Whereas last week didn't totally have a beginning and end in Andor. It was like, we left off here, here's the middle part, and we're going to leave, a lot for the next episode, a lot to be desired for the next episode. They do those 3-episode arcs. So I do think Mandalorian season 1 and 2 are still light years above this, but this is quickly rising the ranks as possibly my second favorite just live action Star Wars show in general.
Yeah, so it's Mando, it's Book of Boba Fett, it's Obi-Wan, and this. Yeah, I'm with you on that, definitely. And it's going in the right direction.
It feels like the production value's higher too. There was a weird campiness that was in both Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan, in the chase scene with Princess Leia and Flea in the forest, and then the Spy Kids scene in Book of Boba Fett. We got 2 like weird moments like that. Already, I feel like I would be shocked to see a moment like that in Andor.
It'll stick out like a sore thumb if
it just doesn't feel like
I don't think they're going to do that. Please don't do it, Andor. If you listen to the people who did Andor, if you know someone who worked on Andor, ask them, be like, is there one of those that you guys were kind of 50-50 whether cut it out right now before it goes live? Just cut it out. Even if it like makes nothing in the story make sense, we'll piece it together next season. Just don't fucking bring us down with that, because we talked about those goddamn Spy Kids for like weeks.
Yeah. And I try to like defend them. I still think they weren't as bad as people made them out to be because of the chase. Like, I think the characters themselves without the chase and maybe even the weird 360 spin around shoot, like they were okay looking in terms of like, all right, you're going to try different things. They're like weird droid people in Star Wars. That would probably exist somewhere. Like Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat, who's like half cyborg, someone half cyborg. Jax. Yes. I could see that existing in Star Wars. Just the execution could have been better.
I forgot about that spin around shot. That was tough. That was really
360 no scopes.
By the way, 2 Mortal Kombat references on the pod today.
Really.
I didn't see that coming either.
All right. Before we get into some outside of Andor stuff, let me tell everyone about Game Time. If you're not on to Game Time yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. It is the exclusive ticketing partner of Barstool Sports, created by fans for fans, and it makes it easier than ever to score last-minute tickets on sports, concerts, shows. They'll guarantee the lowest price. I've seen many concerts under Game Time. I'll be going to another concert tonight under them, the Wonder Years in the city, one of my favorite bands. I've seen Red Hot Chili Peppers, Turnstile, Rage Against the Machine under Game Time. It is the best ticketing app around. I love it. We've had tons of Barstool fans using it, tons of Barstool employees using it, and now with the MLB playoffs underway, now's the time to give Game Time a shot. Uh, if you go to Game Time, the app, go to the account tab, create a login, and redeem the code basement. $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Game Time. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Again, the promo code is basement. And if you're in Nevada, Hall & Oates are coming soon. Just 2 shows. Clem and I just wrapped up an interview with none other than John Oates himself. Obviously, because of the Mets, Clem did not get to see them live, but you could right his wrongs and go see them in Nevada with Game Time. That interview will be out next week on the My Mom's Basement YouTube channel, and it was a blast. John Oates is a delight.
John Oates is so fucking cool. I got DM from someone who said they used to work with him for like a year, and they said he's like the coolest dude in the world. So he definitely lived up to it.
A pilot, a race car driver, said he wanted to like build his own house. I figured he probably built it by hand.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. I'm like, Jesus Christ, you're a fucking like rock and roll guy. You don't have to do all this stuff. Other people can fly you and drive you places. And he did say being a father was the hardest part. So shout out to me and all the other dads listening right now for doing the real fucking hard work of this and keeping this species alive too. People are talking about that. We're keeping this species humming right now.
And shout out
taxes one day.
Shout out Game Time for keeping the podcast alive.
Yeah, shout out to
full circle.
Keeping the basement lights on. And again, the reviews from everyone who went. Thumbs up on the Hall & Oates show. So if you're out in Vegas, definitely check them out. And Bob, you say we're going outside the Star Wars universe. Can I bring up one subject that's in the Star Wars universe before we go there?
Sure, yeah.
A little tweet that went out on October 11th, which is 2 days before we recorded this. One Ahmed Best, also known as the man that played Jar Jar Binks. And he's making a little, I guess it's like a one-man show. It's called One Man Show. And I don't know if it's like just something he's writing or if he's going to actually make a one-man show of it. This is what he said. He goes, he said, all right, let me go back to the exact thing. Ahmed Best said it's time to share how it all went down with the prequel trilogy. He also teased that Darth Jar Jar, there was a lot more that's true than people realize. Darth Jar Jar theory. We're going to be getting something about the Darth Jar Jar theory coming out soon.
Interesting. He should bring that one-man show to wherever the next, I think it's Anaheim, Star Wars Celebration is.
Oh.
That's your audience right there. That's people that love you, that want to embrace you now, especially after he came out last year and talked about like what the toxic fandom almost drove him to and everything. People would sell out a theater to see Ahmed Best talk about the prequels for
where could they get their tickets from to watch?
Game Time.
There you go. Promo code basement. It's all coming together. And I saw he just like his Instagram, it was like one of the most hated figures in Star Wars. He took like a screenshot of all the different places that wrote about it. He's like, I've heard about this cringeworthy, most maligned character. He's like, I'm here to right the ship and, let everyone know that. And I'm like, yeah, man, Darth Jar Jar fucking truthers like myself, we're fucking ready to rock. So, Bob, what will you do if you hear that are you a believer in the Darth Jar Jar theory? This is the trust theory. Oh my God.
No.
That's worse than not liking peanut butter over.
I think it's ridiculous, but I respect your love of it, It's like I'm not the most religious guy, but I'm not gonna like step out here and be like, I'm an atheist. Like I'm like, I let people believe in what they want to
let them have their fun. Yeah, let them have. I am at the point where it's like I feel like there's no way George Lucas fucked it up so much and went from fucking Darth Maul to Count Dooku.
If there's a will, there's a way.
I guess so. Oh, well, what did he say when he was sitting down? He's like, maybe I went a little too.
Maybe we went a bit too far in a few places. Like, yeah, George, I think you did. I think you fucking did.
All right, so to all the Darth Jar Jar truthers out there, we're going to have our time to shine in the sun. Hopefully in sunny, shiny Anaheim, we'll be going to the fucking one-man show together thanks to Game Time.
Yeah. All right, so we do have a few non-Star Wars things to talk about that are basement nerd related. The one thing I wanted to bring up was the cool Kevin Smith event I went to. He bought his childhood movie theater. Like the movie theater Kevin Smith went to growing up. He said the movie theater his dad took him to see Blade Runner in, the movie theater where he got a hand job from his high school girlfriend when he went to see Labyrinth. And he bought with a bunch of his friends and put on the first event last weekend which was a screening of Tusk, his cult classic horror movie, and a live podcast, Hollywood Babylon. I went. It was great. It was so much fun. The podcast was so funny. My cheeks were hurting at the end of it. Very cool theater, mom and pop vibe. There's like 3 total theaters in it. The snack stand is so like mom and poppy, but in a
Yes.
good way. Like they have Pop Tarts, ring pops, like all things you would never expect at a movie theater snack stand. They had a Kevin Smith merch table set up and everything. I wrote a blog about how much I enjoyed the event, how fun it was. And Kevin Smith himself quote tweeted the blog, was like, "Thanks for coming. Glad you had a good time. How about I invite you to the next two events, one of which is an evening with George R. R. Martin, Jersey Zone. The next is a screening of Zack and Miri Make a Porno on Black Friday, which I think is like pretty much around when that movie takes place. It takes
Mm-hmm.
place in the winter in Pittsburgh and everything. So I said like immediately, like, I'm in. I'm hoping just my luck the way it'll turn out. The George R. R. Martin event. I don't know the date on it yet. I'm hoping it's not the night Meatball Molly fights, but it probably fucking will be, knowing my luck and how things go at Barstool. If it's not though, I'm there, and that'd be pretty fucking. Imagine me and George R. R.
That would be incredible. You've got to show up dressed up like one of your
Definitely, I'll show up in the wig. Yeah.
yeah.
You know what? I got to get an eye patch and do like a scar. You know,
Yeah. Well, the
that would be a
thing
good one.
we did say you look just like Aegon Targaryen. He's like, oh, you're the dude that wrote about beating off outside his window right there, dude. Bob
Oh, and
Fox.
Kevin Smith. Speaking about outside the window, he bought the apartment above the, or is renting the apartment above the theater, and just lives above the movie theater. He said the other night he had to take a shit, took a shit, didn't have toilet paper. So he was like, oh my God, it's 3 a.m. Walked down to the movie theater, set off the alarms. 10 cops showed up. He was like, I'm sorry.
Good. Hey, that's a good way to test to make sure the alarms work at your brand new movie theater. So that worked out perfectly for him. Matt, do you think it smells a little like popcorn in his apartment too? It probably does, right?
Probably, yeah.
How now? That was my one question because I'm a snack guy. How was the popcorn? Was it like? Did it feel like it was mom and? Because that's very important about the mom and pops. If they have a good popcorn and I feel like Kevin
Great
Smith.
popcorn. And guess what? They do the best thing where they go, do you want us to put the butter on for you so we could do it layered? And you say yes. And they do it for you. So they put a little bit in there, butter, a little bit more, butter, a little bit more, butter.
It's good to know that even Kevin Smith abandoned us fats so then he could live longer. It's nice to know he's still taking care of us when it's all said and done. That is A plus job. So what town in Jersey is that in? Because I got to check it out.
It's in Atlantic Highlands, which is where he grew up. It's also 3 minutes, quite literally 3 minutes away from the quick stop from Clerks.
That's
so
awesome.
if you're going, it's a no-brainer to just go outside the quick stop, take a picture like you're Jay and Silent Bob, which I of course did. And there was a crackhead out there when I went out there.
Nice.
As soon as we pulled up and started taking pictures, she was like, just so you know, Kevin Smith, or she didn't even say Kevin Smith. She didn't know his name. She goes, just so you know, Silent Bob is a grimy douchebag. And I was like, okay, cover up my Silent Bob tattoo so I don't get shanked in Jersey. And she was like, yeah, I'm a trusted source on the matter. That's what she said. And I was
wow.
Like, all right, lady.
Jesus Christ. She must have been the person that was written after the girl that, what is she had the stroke in the pool and died in the pool. Like that. Would have been like her sister or something like that. And she's very upset about it.
She wasn't happy about him.
I'll have to check out this George R. R. Martin thing myself. I feel like I could get
I know that'd be fun to go to together.
It'll be if it's not Meatball Molly fights, it'll be Sienna's birthday. So it's gonna be one or the other.
It's your birthday in November.
It is. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Again, I've learned between all this the nonstop Hall and Oates dates just changing and then our interview changing when I had to do Met stuff. It's just not my time right now. I'm on a losing streak. You just have to learn to roll
get back on that winning streak. Yeah. Two things that we got to talk about in the DC world. One, Black Adam reviews are out. They had the premiere last night in the city at Empire 25, I believe, the big AMC in the city. It's getting pretty decent word. It's kind of mixed. Some people are saying it's a typical DC movie. Other people are saying, hey, it's pretty good. It's not great. The Rock leaves a little bit to be desired, but it's worthy of you going to see it. I think we'll see it. I'll definitely go see it. Dr. Fate or something is in it. There's some DC characters I don't really know in it, but I've heard the characters that aren't Black Adam steal the show.
Wow. Okay. Though someone steals the show from The Rock is what you're telling me.
I know, and I like The Rock.
It's not
like The Rock is actually like the reason I feel like I'll go see this movie. More than it being a DC superhero movie, I'm like, all right, I liked Wayne.
I feel like we'll have to, like you said, have Jose on, get to kind of maybe like he could tell us what to expect going in. That'll help make it a little more enjoyable or understandable. I am not, again, I usually with these DC things, I kind of just sit them out unless they people get me there. Maybe I'll just go like my local theater on like Tuesdays. It's like $5 matinees.
Oh,
I'll
that's
go for
nice.
like the cheap one, get out of the house for a couple hours, escape work, and check it out. So the Basement Boys will do something for it.
Yeah,
Maybe we'll
comes
do a
out like
YouTube
in
special.
like 2 weeks, maybe next week or something soon.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that we texted about a little bit that sounds very interesting, Colin Farrell's The Penguin series. I don't know if it's called The Penguin, but it's going to be an HBO Max series taking place 1 week after The Batman, about his Penguin kind of rising to be that mob boss status that Carmine Falcone was in the last one. And he said Gotham's still like partially underwater.
I love that. I loved hearing it was underwater. I have to watch the Batman again just to see how much I like it the second time watching it. How many times did you end up watching it? What number are we at right now, Bob?
I saw it twice in theaters and then immediately, like after the second time, and God bless my girlfriend for going back and seeing it in theaters with me. We go to Columbus, where she's from, and her friends are like, "Come over for a movie night. We're watching the Batman." So we watched it
Wow.
again, and then I probably watched it again after. I've probably seen it 5 or 6 times at this point.
I feel like Jose did say, or you might have said something, or I could try you guys talking about Batman because I know you guys both love it. Like the whole water, that storyline. I feel like
Yeah,
I'm very intrigued by it. I want to see how it is with this fucking shitty, dingy place, and now you're adding the water, and now the new criminal element involved. I'm very excited. I said the way that the timing of it makes me even more excited for the show than I was beforehand.
I saw a great comparison of the Batman's universe and their Gotham City and the Dark Knight's Gotham City and universe. And I thought it was so spot on that I wanted to say it on the podcast. They said the Dark Knight universe is like, what if Batman was in the real world? And the Batman universe is like, what if Gotham City was the real world? Where it's like they just made Gotham City real in one, and then in
Mm.
the Dark Knight they were like, all right, we're gonna take Gotham City and make it like Chicago. And then in the Dark Knight Rises, it's Pittsburgh. Like Gotham in this universe very much feels like the DC Comics Gotham to me. You can't put a city on it. You can't say, oh, they filmed it around New York. Like even if they did, they made it look very much its own identity. So I'm very much looking forward to Gotham being kind of a bit of a character in that show as much as it was in the movie as well.
Yeah, there are a few cities and comics and stuff like that that are their own, and I think Gotham might be the number one. We've talked about this on the
Gotta be,
Batman
yeah.
podcast in the past.
Gotham, Metropolis, but I feel like Metropolis is like a mix of
Yeah.
Chicago and New York.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Gotham, I feel like, is the number one on that list. So, I'm stoked for it. So, when does it come out? Do you know?
I don't know. Not sure. And
The fact
hopefully soon, though. I feel like the sooner the better because the changes that they keep making at HBO Max are all sounding horrible.
just it's like DC too. Like I feel like just gonna get in their own way. Those two together, like that. That is
Yeah,
the
yeah,
crazy guy and the crazy girl. Are now like dating. You're
yeah.
like, what the fuck? Like the house is gonna light on fire. They're just gonna light on fire. There's fire involved at some point.
But that was the Andor recap for this week. We did a little bit of comic book discussion to end it off because Andor, like we said this week, really just one thing happened. It was a big heist, but it was a great heist. It was a great episode. Hope you'll be back next week for episode 7, and we'll see you then.
Hashtag Clem shot first.
That's right.